tell you an actual otherworldly experience if you'd be interested to hear a story.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, I went on holiday with some friends of mine down to the beach. We went to Cornwall. It was a mate of mine's birthday and he wanted to go surfing and we wanted to go and trip on the beach and, you know, just have like a nice sort of boys' holiday away for the weekend type thing. So we went down there and two of our friends weren't as into tripping as my friend and I were. They'd do a bit of acid with us every now and again, but they viewed it very differently to us, and I don't know, I think they viewed it sort of the same as just smoking a joint or something like that. So one night, my friend and I were sitting on the sofa in the caravan that we'd rented, and we were already 3 tabs in, and the tabs that we were taking were, I think they were 120 micrograms each. So we'd had 360 micrograms already, which is quite a good dose of LSD by itself. And we decided that what we'd do would be to go down to the beach and smoke changa, which is DMT infused into a smoking mixture so that you can smoke it rather than vaporize it. So we walked down to the beach, we got our deck chairs out, we sat down, we got wrapped up warm, we sat comfortably in the middle of these sand dunes. So where we were sat, we could hear the sea, but we couldn't see it, and we were sat in the middle of these dunes in the middle of nowhere. And we shook hands and we said, good luck, can't wait to see you on the other side, sort of thing. And we sparked our joints and started smoking them, and we literally went to another universe. There is no other way of putting it. There is no other way of describing it. We were sat on our deck chairs, and the sand dunes around us transformed into like metal structures. You could see they were made out of metal plates. They were like bits of corrugated metal and flat stainless metal, and each of the plates you could see the rivets going down them where they'd been rivet jointed together. And there were windows in the buildings, and each of the windows were sort of different shapes, like triangles. Some were squares, some were circles, and they all had like a neon different coloured light around them, an outline. This was incredible by itself. And then I looked up at the sky, and I'm quite into space. I'm quite into astronomy. I'm good at knowing where things are in the sky, and I can look up and I can find things in the sky, and I know where they are, I know where to look, and I know most of the stars in the sky and the planets and stuff like that. So I looked up in the sky, and the first thing I noticed was that the moon, that at first was to our left, had disappeared. And I thought, oh, that's funny, it must have gone behind a cloud. And then I noticed that there weren't any clouds in the sky. And I looked to my right, and there was a moon to the right, but it was twice as big as the usual moon that we have. To the left of it, if you were putting it on like a compass, it would be 45, 50 degrees to the left of it. There was another moon that was about half the size of our moon, and it was glowing a deep red colour. And I saw this and instantly thought to myself, what is going on? And I remember thinking to myself at that moment, I'm not actually like tripping as such. You know, when you're tripping on acid or mushrooms, you're looking around your room or wherever you are, and you can see geometric shapes and you can see the walls moving and stuff going on. None of that was happening. I couldn't see any geometric shapes. I couldn't see stuff moving. There was none of that going on. It was just my surroundings had completely changed. And obviously the moons had done what they'd done, which I still can't explain to this day. And I then at that point started looking at the other stars in the sky to try and figure out like where they were, and I couldn't find anything, and I couldn't recognize any stars. None of the constellations that I knew were there. There was nothing in the sky. Everything was different. And at that point I just sort of froze and was just looking around, and I just couldn't believe what was going on. And then after we'd finished the experience and we'd come back down from the DMT, I turned to my friend and was just like, I have got the craziest thing to tell you. And he was like, so have I. And we swapped stories bit by bit, and we found out that we'd both had the exact same experience, and we'd both seen the exact same thing and gone to the exact same place.
Wow.
And the both of us to this day, the only thing that we can say happened was that we were almost projected onto a different planet in a different universe or a different dimension. The only way I can compare it is, has everybody seen the new Star Wars films?
I'm
Yes.
vaguely aware of them.
In the new films, there's a scene where Kylo and Rey have a connection with the Force.
Yeah.
They don't see each other's surroundings, but they just see each other and they can speak to each other.
Yeah.
It was similar to that, as if we'd been projected into the other surroundings. So almost the opposite. Instead of being able to interact with the other person or the other reality once a month or once every 2 months or so, we recount experiences that we've had on psychedelics, and it always comes up. And every time we just get so excited, and it's nutty. It's unexplainable. It's crazy. The stars were different and the moons were in a different place.
There was 2 or 3 moons in that universe where they go to after they use the plaque key, I think it was. Or maybe during Les's enlightenment, when Sassy's talking to him.
Yeah, I
think
think that it was
right.
in that bit, yeah.
In the
Oh,
same
yeah.
sequence where Sassy rides the bicycle in space.
Yeah, you're onto something there, because I feel like in the series, the way the stars and the moon and everything behaves is off. Like we were talking a couple of days ago, and we noticed that the sun seems to rise in the southwest, and strange shit like that.
I'm going to look out for that now.
I'm going to start looking at the show in a different way, just looking out for all the little bits.
Yeah, and I mean, it could just be me being super fucking high and looking too deeply into stuff that, Jarrad's he's focused on other stuff. But yeah, the stars and the moons and everything, they all seem to.
Crazy. I think that is almost the point of the show, though. I think a very distinctive part of the show is that you are supposed to be able to look very, very deeply into it.
Yeah.
And it helps your mind, again, to sort of have that reflection.
Yeah, there is definitely a depth to the show, even from like the early episodes. Do you remember like when the opening credits would come up, even the title screen, and Les would like break through it and start talking to you. He'd break the fourth wall in the first couple of seconds of the show. There's there's definitely like a meta sort of quality to it,
Yeah, there's always been that bit of like you said, meta
So
quality to it.
like layers, like you think you understand what's going on, and suddenly it's like bang, you zoom out and there's another layer to it, and bang, you zoom out another layer, and suddenly the character's directly talking to you. It's always got you on the back foot in that respect. And if we go into it in enough depth, like there's so many layers, if we've just said, to pull apart.
Phasing through the layers.
Exactly. That's what Sassy would want.
Oh, that was crazy the other day. Where I spoke to you guys about how I noticed the phasing through the layers song is the exact same whether it's played forwards or backwards.
And the thing I think I noticed as well is the songs forward and backward. Like, backward is just forward reversed.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier as well. Forwards, backwards.
I think it was very intentional how forward is the first song you hear and backwards is the last song in the whole album.
Yeah, it sort of repeats that
Yeah.
thing that Sassy goes through, where he goes backwards again and again and again.
Oh, that's really clever. Yeah. Sorry, I'm really high. That hit me like a fucking truck.
It's crazy, man. We could literally sit here for hours and just go on about the different parts of it. That's why it's so good.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about. Like every single episode, there's like 101 things you could bring up.
I want to know where Jarrad got the inspiration for the radar dish.
Which one was that? I can't quite remember.
In one of the earlier episodes, the Sasquatches all set up the
Oh, yeah,
the satellite dish,
2063 Platinum Edition.
and then they just destroy Clarence with it.
Yeah, it starts bleeding from the fucking face.
Oh, well, guess all you can do is smile.
Put a smile on your dial, and
Oh, I fucking love Clarence.
that's actually another really good idea for another episode. I think Clarence is an extremely interesting character to go onto an in-depth analysis of,
Yeah.
because
think
he's almost as much of an enigma as Sassy is, not in the same way. The character is made to suffer.
I think kind of like just as a parallel to what I said earlier, you know that purity of Sassy, there's a lack of ego, like there's a consistency in his character that's not going anywhere. It's not being driven by anything other than what he is. Plaza has the same sort of consistency, but it's not through his intent. It's just that's the way the universe is keeping him prisoner in this fucking field of bad luck.
It's,
He
they
suffers.
seem almost like pure
Right.
opposites.
Yeah, there's a real polarity there, and I think there's a real sort of finiteness and consistency about some of Jarrad's characters. And with Claire's, it's just like, yeah, the universe is gonna shit on him again and again and again because you're fucking Clarence.